It's very interesting that a few weeks ago there was a march from East Palo Alto to Palo Alto, and then all of a sudden there was this upsurge in violence. So there are people who are saying, wait a moment now, we had this focus on racial profiling. Shouldn't we now shift this focus and have it a focus on crime prevention or a crime in just dealing with the upsurge? And so I'm wondering, since that was said by some Palo Alto residents, what might you say to that?
Well, absolutely. That the root cause of the issues arising from racial profiling is crime. You always have to talk about in the context of crime, and of course its root causes, and that leading to the issues of racial profiling, which brings up again very deep and emotional and kind of systemic issues as well. So I was at the rally myself, and hearing the testimony of many of the East Palo Alto residents was very emotional. And then there were two nights at the Palo Alto City Council where the first night was a number of African Americans from Stanford, and I think the following week was many African Americans from East Palo Alto. And really the testimony really, they literally brought tears to my eyes, because it's almost, racial profiling is really taking humanity away from you. That the fact that you get labeled. On the other hand, sitting on the city council, we see the racial profiling. We also see what a tough job our police department has, and I'm sure East Palo Alto as well as Palo Alto. And then of course, it's very emotional on the resident side as well, because the rash of either break-ins or very brazen muggings and the broad daylight of little old ladies who get pushed to the street and get their things stolen is, again, so I think a lot of this is driven by, as many of the people said, stress on the families from unemployment and economic downturn, and as well as many of the other causes.
How do we ensure citizens' rights and at the same time fight crime?
I think that's, in my eyesight, I think it's pretty simple. You have to do both. I don't think you can compartmentalize these issues. They are, one, the racial profiling is linked to an issue around prejudice. And the other, we say crime. You have to, as a community, you cannot say, well, we're going to deal with this, and then maybe later we'll deal with this. You have to deal with both at the same time. You have to, and you may get to a point, and maybe where we are now, you may have to set priorities within a certain time frame. And now that we've had 5 incidents over the last few days, now that becomes maybe a higher priority right now in terms of dealing with it in our community than dealing with the racial. That doesn't mean we ignore the racial profile and don't come back to it at another time. I think you have to fight the battle on both fronts.
Do you see, Mayor Abrika, any shift in priorities?
Well, what I think is that we should not tolerate profiling, and we should not tolerate violence wherever it occurs.
Absolutely.
So right now, the issue of profiling came out in Palo Alto. I think that, it comes down even to individuals, I think. It's not every police officer who was profiling, but if there are some who are, then they should be dealt with. And same with violence. There's violence occurring. There are some who now have inflicted pain on other people. And by the way, I think, our sympathy, I'm sure, goes to the people who have been injured, because often we forget about that. And so, but the individuals who commit violence, I think we need to deal with them. And then on the other side, I think, as Bob is saying, we have to constantly keep working on preventing profiling, on countering the prejudices that are there. At the same time, the dealing with these causes of violence, or at least the surface ones that we can grab hold to, that if there's disputes, then try to deal with that. If it's you know, maybe somebody did get depressed. And, you know, I did read in the newspapers, I think even the Wall Street Journal was saying this last month, with all the financial mess in the country, you know, incidents of mental health and depression have gone up. And that's probably with people who had more money already. So think of all the people that don't have very much. It doesn't take a lot for them to also feel frustration, depression, and in some instances, some may resort to violence, you know, unnecessarily. It's not an excuse, but we just constantly, I think, have to deal with, but wherever it shifts, we just got to do.
But